Ready to start your journey? Whether it's your first workout or you are a seasoned athlete, Endurance for Everyone Coaching wants to work with you. Our coaching team has worked with athletes from beginners to USAT national qualifiers and are comprised of experienced runners, cyclists, and triathletes who have a passion for healthy living and have been where you are. We offer comprehensive coaching programs from weekly support to basic consultation, all designed to help you achieve your goals. If you want to take your performance to the next level, look no further than Endurance for Everyone Coaching. Go to www.teamE4E.com and click on the coaching link or send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And let's get started.
Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
Hey, this is John Harris.
And this is Rob Bozovich.
And Endurance is for Everyone, and this is the Endurance for Everyone podcast. All right, episode 144 of the Endurance for Everyone podcast. I'm John, and we got Rob on the other end, outside by a fire pit, so loyal to his fan base that he's going to do the show. We can hear the fire. I can hear the fire now. That's kind of cool.
I'm trying my best here, but like I said, I told you off mic, it's, the wife and my little guy are in the hotel room. So I tried 3 different locations to try to make this work. I figured I went to the gym thinking, hey, no one will be in there at 9:30 at night. Nobody is there, but there's an overhead fan running to exhaust, I guess, body stink out, and a speaker. And then I figured, okay, well, I'll go to the lobby, because this morning it didn't sound that loud, but that was just because everybody in there was loud, because once again there's a television and multiple speakers going there. So I am outside by a gas fire pit, enjoying the lovely evening, and hopefully no big tuner cars go rolling by with a loud exhaust, and we'll see what happens.
No one quite understands the lengths we go to for this show.
We really, I risk life and limb and my personal relationships. This room key just might be deactivated by the time I get back up there. We will see. So,
well, let's hope not. You told her you were going to do this. Now, don't make me feel bad.
Well, I had told her, and I thought we had discussed it, and then when I had said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go record," and she's like, "You said you were doing it one night." I'm like, "Well, yeah, we only have 2," so I thought, I thought we had discussed it, but apparently I was not clear. But hey, well, the rest of the vacation is all hers.
See, it's like it's an hour,
Except for the run that I might get up and do tomorrow morning, since I didn't run today. But
they won't be awake.
We'll just set the alarm for early and go from there.
There you go. It's like, and they don't know this, the people listening, but we're recording this. It's like 9:30. We normally record at 4:35.
Yeah.
So this is very late for us. This is back in the Randy Messman territory. This is how we used to record with Randy.
So this is past my bedtime. I don't know what's going on right now. So.
So if you start babbling, we know why.
That's it.
Yeah. I was like, he was sleep deprived. So you had a race. So how you feeling?
Had a race. Alive, feeling good, happy.
You did well.
Several people have messaged me, on Facebook and so forth, and they even said, "I don't want to ruin the race recap, but how'd you do?" And the shortest answer up front is, I did the best I could. I think I know what it would take for me to hit the next level. And I should say, I guess I'm not willing to do that. I'm very pleased with where I'm at. I got everything out of the race that I possibly could have. So
well, and that's all you can ask for, right? And that's what I was like. I was looking at it, and I said, well, you know what? You finished, what was it, 11th overall and 3rd in the age group, right? Second in age group, 11th overall. I got that right?
Correct.
So, and that was with very little training for a triathlon before going into it.
Right.
So, yeah. So, and with a long bike ride the day before.
and it wasn't as long of a bike ride as I anticipated.
Yeah, but
we could talk a little about that. But yeah, I had ridden the day before, which is usually not on your. And it was a hilly ride. That was the point. There was some elevation in there that had to contend with. So.
Well, even with all that, you went into it, and we'll talk more about this later. You went into it with your TSB was 12, so you were pretty refreshed even with that going in.
Well rested.
So
a little too rested.
Actually, a little above, right? A little above, but everybody's a little different there. So you kind of find your, like I said, we'll talk about this more, but you need to find your own little sweet spot in the numbers. But normally you race better a little bit in the negative. I've noticed.
Yeah, you're saying I'm a pessimist, John.
No. I'm saying you run a little bit better. You seem to race a little bit better when you're a little bit fatigued. Not a lot, but like in the little negative numbers a little bit.
Right.
So that's interesting to me.
I'll say, do we want me to jump right into, and it won't be a super duper long race recap because I guess I don't really need to go turn by turn. No. We've already said how it went, but I can go ahead and recap the race a little bit, and that way do that right on the front end of the show here for anybody who's tuning in for that reason, and then we can get into the numbers and discuss what those mean and what happened, and if people want to hang on through the end, that way they know at least what's coming here. So
right. Yeah, so just tell us how the race day went, how you felt going in.
Yeah, so long and short, as I'd told you, I had done this race. I believe this was the 11th year for it, so that I've done it 10 out of 11 years, missed last year, and of that being said, is the course has pretty much been always the same. You heard me and Christoph, the race director, recapping it when I had him on, and nothing had changed as far as that went. So through the years, I've seen, when I say every iteration, I mean weather-wise. I've seen hot, I've seen chilly, I've seen rain. So I really wasn't thoroughly concerned. A few months ago, I sold my tri-bike. That being said, I pretty much knew this season I was going to be doing if I did one or two races, it was going to be on my road bike anyways, and I have a set of clip-on aero bars. This is a hilly course, so I knew that I was taking my road bike. Nothing changed gear-wise. Nothing changed course-wise. Working into the race, we had some real bad weather here in Pennsylvania, lots and lots and lots of rain. So there was a lot of, actually they had sent an email out maybe Wednesday or Thursday, the race saying, hey, rain or shine, we're still having it. The only way we won't have the race is if it's like, thunderstorms, lightning, and people are, you're going to be in danger. And they said, even at that, we'll delay it, then we'll cancel it. But, basically quit asking, we're going to have the race,
Right.
And working, just jumping to it. The day before, they do have they do have a kids race, and I was then talking to Christoph when I went and picked up my packet the night before. We drove out, picked it up, and I was talking to him for a few minutes, and he had said that the kids race, like, there was a little bit of rain, and then it cleared up, and then it was a lot of rain again whenever. Give me one sec here, John. Some people walked out here, and one guy sitting here and 5 people come with wine, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have to move," but yeah, I don't expect you to sit in silence for an hour, people. And so, anyways, podcasting gold right there, people.
Live podcasting.
Yeah, but no, anyway, so he had said that there was some sprinkles on the kids' race, and we were tracking, and at that point, there was one last rainstorm that was going to be coming in at about 5 p.m., and then it was supposed to pretty much clear up and be good until about 10 to noon is when they were calling for the next wave of rain to come. Now, that's kind of important because, once again, they go off at 8 o'clock was when the Olympic went off, and at 8:40, 40 minutes later on the clock time is whenever the sprint goes off. Basically, they were saying, hey, if this rain holds off, pretty much everyone should be done. 3/4 of the race participants should be done. There might be a few people that are going to get rained on. So, and that's almost exactly how it played out. The rain, actually, the hard rain held off until about, I'm going to say, 11:30, and it pretty much, when I say everyone was done at that point, so they don't, it's a restricted getting in and out because it's one road down into the reservoir. So whenever, and that being said, is you bike up out, you have to bike back into it. And then, but the runners, then when the runners are heading out, you head back up the kind of the same area, the side that you bike out, and then you turn and do your loop, but then you come back down on that side. So like basically once it's runners and cyclists, it's runners on the right, cyclists on the left. So they restrict it and don't let any traffic out until the last biker's in. Okay. So once you're in there and that happens, that's pretty much, unless it's some sort of emergency, I guess they would let you go. And that's kind of important because that's where in years past, they announce or they put on the website that awards will be at like 1. But we've left and then come back and like literally just missed awards. We weren't gone that long, and so they try to do the sprint awards at about 11:15 to 11:30. So and we were like kind of queued up, literally first car in line, ready to leave to try to get out, go get a shower, and come back. And there were still some cyclists on the course. So, those would be the Olympic folk that were still coming back in. Like literally they keep count based on your chips, and they knew that there were 3 more bikers out on the course. So, 11:05, I want to say, was when the last person came in. At that point, you wait 10 minutes and go to the awards. So, anyways, long ramble to lead up to, it was a great swim, as it always is. I enjoy it. Then, long run up the hill, quick transition, take off on the bike course. Nothing surprising there, with 2 exceptions or stories that I'll interject and say. And that is, I was, and if you're looking at it, you can even pull my thing up and I can almost tell you where it is. If you look out at about mile 3.5, 4, it's kind of where I peek out by that, what I call the horse farm. It's the fairgrounds. And I had turned, there's a right, then a right, and you start coming back downhill. At that point, I got passed by, when I say like a legit serious, like somebody with a pretty expensive, kit, a really expensive felt, tri-bike, aero helmet, I was doing probably 25 downhill at that point, and this guy then passed me. I was just about to get out of my saddle and paddle anyway. So USAT rules, I let him get a few lengths ahead of me. So I wasn't in the draft zone. I geared down. I then passed that guy. When I say I passed him, I looked up on my watch at that point. I was doing 31 miles an hour going down this kind of just a little bit of
it looks like a
little downhill.
I'm looking at it right now. You got that little downhill. You hit like 34.3.
Yeah, well, that's might be a little later. So I passed that guy right there, and then I just stayed locked in. I just kept pedaling. I knew I was above 30 miles per hour, and it was a good minute and a half. And then that guy, when I say he came screaming around me, because he must have like looked at me and said, "No way, fat boy, this ain't happening." And so he went blowing by me. Once again, I knew I had minimum of 30, probably 31, 32. And that guy goes blowing by me. He must have been doing 36, 40 miles an hour. And it made me feel good, just that I could rattle somebody a little bit, Yeah. And then if you're looking at the correct part of the course, there's a sharp left, so I had to decelerate. Then I had to get pedaling again, and right at that point is where Garmin in the group, he came out around me. That's where I said, like, my killer instinct. If I could stay ahead of him off the bike, we were gonna have a race. But that was only 5.5 miles in. Like, I literally, like, that guy came around me and I was smiling, and then like 30 seconds later I looked over and he just gave like this little like nonchalant like wave, like, "Hey, what's up?" And they just kept going. So I'm like, oh man. But I don't want to say, like I said at that point, if that happened, I was going to gear back, take it easy. I didn't. I still wanted to see, when I say quote, how good I could do. And when I say the rest of the race is what it is, only one other story. So I bike it in. I did good, I think. I didn't look at my average speed. I did not go out. This is so untypical of me. And it's because I'm traveling, realistically. I usually go out and see, where did I place in the swim? And, overall plus age group. Where did I place in the bike? Right. Overall swim, overall age group. Same with the run. Right. Well, I get on the run. and I could say two, three things played out, and that is, so we went up the run course, we go out, and then there's this little bit, you're coming down a hill and you turn right, and you go down in, turn around, come back out on this little out and back. And that's where I had always said, that's where you can see how many people are ahead of you, how many people are behind you. You have a good inclination. And that's right at, when you're coming back up the hill, halfway up the hill is mile 1. So it's far enough in that you know you have enough race course ahead of you to chase somebody down. And you also know that you got to stick with it if you're trying to not let somebody catch you.
Right.
At that point, I had only seen one person. And then, because like I said, before we turn right into that out and back, you have a good 400-yard shot looking down this hill. I saw nobody down that hill, turned right, running down in, and I saw one guy in this bright yellow, like safety yellow kit coming up out. The next person was Garmin. So, and I always, at that point, I yelled at Garmin. I said, hey, there's only one out ahead of you. So I go down in, come back out. And at that point, he was, I want to say 4 minutes ahead of me. Like, cause once again, I kind of marked in my mind where I passed him. I went down, I went back. I knew where I was at. I'm like, so at least I knew pacing wise, right? Fast forward a little bit, going down. Once I got to the top of that hill, turn right. This 18-year-old kid came out around me. Obviously his age is on his leg. Yeah. So I basically had said, and I think I sent this to you, hey, if I can't chase Garmin down, I'm gonna haunt this kid's dreams. So he passed me, got maybe 30 feet ahead of me, and I kind of just paced off him there until we got to the wooded section, which is just about mile 2. So we had a mile and a tenth left. And I just kind of came out around the kid. And at that point, I kind of took a couple deep breaths, got myself calmed down. I got up right next to him, and I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? This is a nice day, isn't it? I just started chatting, just trying to
playing head games with the kid. Yeah.
That is it, especially because, I'm twice the kid's age, and he's like 40 pounds lighter than me. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, hey, have fun. And once you get to the top of this hill, I said, it's all downhill. And then I said, hey, literally for you, figuratively for me, just being stupid. Anyway, so I get to the top of the hill. So then that kid comes out around me, and he takes off, and now it's a foot race. He just ain't going to let me. He ended up beating me by, 17, 20 seconds. He's right
ahead of you, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, one of those things where if I can't mess with one person, I'm going to mess with somebody else. Well, apparently there was 2 or 3 foot races. The person who won it, and if you have the actual numbers there, you can pull it up and see, they finished, I'm going to say 59 minutes, 41 seconds.
Yeah, it was right under an hour. Yeah.
The person who finished second, 1 second behind them. They were literally sprinting it out. And if you look at those ages,
I did. And the second place one was 14.
14.
Yes. I noticed that. Yeah.
Sub 1 hour. That's
crazy. I know. Can you imagine?
That's where when I say I know, and here's once again all the spoilers. I know what it would take. I guess I'm using air quotes. I guess I know. I think I know what it would take for me to hit the next level. We just said that I was 11th overall. Mm-hmm. I'm second in my age group. Garmin was fourth overall. He was first in our age group.
Right.
I just said who finished first and second. The person who finished third was in our age group as well.
Yeah.
So for USAT standings, I'm knocked out of it because that he's number 1, Garmin's number 2, I'm number 3 now. Mm-hmm. And so to be top 10, we need 21 people in our age group. I don't believe there was that many. I haven't checked. I don't think there was. So I'm out of it. But that being said, I was 111. Yep. Garmin's 107. Yep. Can you see what the third place? Do you have those results there?
No, I don't have the results. I just remembered reading it. That's how I knew the 14-year-old.
Less than one. I think it was like a 105 or something.
Yeah, it was
maybe.
Something like that. Yeah, it was right over an hour.
So for me to knock 5 to 6 minutes off of essentially a 70-minute time, I either, and it could be a combination of all these, I either need to lose another 40 pounds, which I don't see happening unless I lose a leg. I have to go out and buy a bike that is probably going to cost more than my last car cost me.
Right.
Or I'm probably going to have to train, I don't know, 9 days a week, 3 times a day in order to make something like that happen.
Well, yeah, and that's what it gets down to, Rob, is that, I mean, you look at your numbers and you averaged 18.7 on the bike, which is good. I mean, and then you averaged an 8:11 pace on the run. It's like, how much? So really, you're looking at probably the bike.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where you can get a lot. I mean, you hit down on those downhills. I think the highest speed I saw was 38 or 39.
Which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I'm saying it's like, but, you know, it's the overall, right? So, I mean, that's the thing with bikes. I mean, you're going downhill, you're hitting those speeds, but then you're not there that long because you're going so fast down that hill. So, yeah, that's the bane of the heavy guy, you know, like me, you know, that's the problem. I do 3 miles an hour up the hill.
I think I had a little better speed going uphill than 3, but
no, I'm talking about me.
yeah, I know.
So that's where you're going to gain that 5 minutes or 6 minutes is going to be on the bike.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about a sprint, you know, gain a minute. You're going at 12. Let's say at 12 miles, you're gaining half a minute per mile. You know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and
that's
I got to
doable.
admit, like I've only swam, and people have heard me say this, and I feel like I was going into this ill prepared. That said, you know, this is where we always talk about you gotta, you know. So sorry, slight ramble. People always say, like, in life, you know, you gotta, you know, work on your weaknesses, right? And I've heard it in the business sense where somebody said, hey, forget that. You know, don't ever work on your weakness. Hire somebody else to do that and just do what you're good at. Do what your strengths are. You know, instead of being great, be amazing. You know, instead of being, nobody wants somebody that's okay. Go with the, you know, go be good, be great. Just be the best you can at something. Now that said, I'm going to my swim. I'm going to just air quote and say my natural ability. John, you can look at my this year. Have I swam? I may have swam 3 times this year.
Yeah, you haven't been since the run started. You really haven't been swimming.
Yeah, so maybe 3 times in 5-6 months.
Right.
I was out of the water in 7 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it's
how much faster can you really get? I mean, honestly,
that's my point. If I wanted, even if I swam once a week, even a good quality workout,
I gain a few seconds.
I might gain. You know what? Let's even play it up. If I can gain 30 seconds, hey, you know what? That 30 seconds might be the difference. But really, like I said, it's Garmin, me, and I just looking at that right there. If once again, the difference between his performance and this, you know, but you're just slicing margins so thin. The difference between his performance, which is 4th overall and 3rd overall, was like 47 seconds.
Right.
So that can make the world of difference. But that being said, is for me to go 30 seconds faster, if I was to, you know, do an extra workout a week, you know, for 52 weeks, you know, to gain 30 seconds, maybe, you know, I don't know. I can't justify it. I love swimming. I want to, don't everyone out there listening, keep in mind, I want to do them. I really want to, but you know, it is where it is. It wouldn't have made any difference because in order for, I need to knock 4 minutes off my time just to rival, you know, to get to first place. And even at that, it would have been the most hollow kick in the nuts victory that I could have had, because even if I would have edged him out and beat him, I still wouldn't have got a USAT bid because I'd have been first, but they put the person back in the age group. You know what I mean? And that guy, once again, and now that's 6 minutes. I mean, that's so hard. I mean, that's 10 to what, 10% I need to shave off of everything.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, I think your room for improvement, and I you use improvement with bunny quotes because, you know, you're still really fast, is the bike. I mean, I think you do great in the swim. You do great on the run. You do great on the bike, too. But, I mean, that's the difference of saying you average 18.7, getting that to a 19 and a half. And that's the difference.
Yeah. No, I buy that. But once again, I don't think anything's going to change realistically, dramatically between now and the next race in 3 weeks. It really is going to come down for me for what that competitor field's going to be. But also, and I don't disagree with you that, and I've always even made that same argument. You get a better return on investment because of the mechanical advantage on the bike.
Yeah.
Just gearing and
Well,
knowing
and that's
when
where,
to attack a hill.
right, and that's where you're spending most of your time too. So I mean, that's where
Right.
you have the room for improvement.
But if I could get a minute per mile faster, if
Right.
I go from an 8:30 to a 7:30, that right there, I mean, that's 3 minutes on the run.
That's true. That's true.
That's a much easier thing than trying to maintain 2 miles per hour faster for a half hour.
Yeah. So, see, for me, it'd be the opposite. For me, it's like I look at it. It's like I'm not going to get 30 seconds faster on the run. I'm going to focus on the bike.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. But you're a better runner much better runner than I am. You're twice as fast. So maybe it's a little bit of both though. I mean, we don't know if we push your bike to get you to a 19 or 20, how is that going to affect your run? Is that going to slow your run down?
Right.
So we don't really know that going in either. So, I mean, like you said, with 3 weeks, we don't really have, a lot of time to play with that. And we've been so focused on running that we really haven't played around with a lot of that yet. This year we haven't.
No, 2018, I think it's a take what comes here.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
2019,
Well,
we'll go from there.
Well, that's what I'm finding out with this 2018. I mean, I've had recently, I think you picked up on it, is like recently I've just had a bad case of the fuckets. You know what I mean? And it's like
those are contagious, John.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've been really in a bad funk, and I'm just sitting here trying to think is what's different, what's why is this coming back like this? And I honestly think it could be down to the fact that I'm not racing as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that constant motivation of a race being in front of me like I have had in years past. And we know that it got out of hand for a while, that I was racing every weekend or every other weekend. But still, I've had, how many races have I had this year? I've had two races.
And something else, right?
I had Chrome and I had St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
And I have one this Saturday. And then I don't have another one till December.
Well, there's one in November you might be able to get into.
I know.
We've been talking about
I have this
that.
down on the whiteboard, by the way. I wrote it down. And because we're going to discuss that a little bit. Because, okay. Because I was joking when I said, what's this join me stuff? You guys all leave me. And, I'll be out there alone. But anyway. But that's what I was thinking. Is like, I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that I'm not racing. I mean, I have a lot of, work issues going on and some health issues going on, but, not to get into too much of the health issues, but I will tell you that it came back that it was, there was no malignancy. So I'm clear.
Good.
I'm clear.
Good.
I found out this morning. So that was okay. That part was okay.
That has to take a load off, which might help.
Yeah. Now, if the work thing would fix, But
See,
anyway.
I'm going to put this out there because I'm going to tell the audience what I told you, and that is, John said he was working on some budgets, and there was some discussion whether or not that was John's job description.
Right.
And I said, well, John, just budget yourself a raise. He says it doesn't work that way, and I said, John, have you tried?
Have you tried?
Well, the way I see it is,
Just sneak it in there.
If you're reporting to multiple bosses, they're each going to think that the other one okayed it, and it's just going to slide through.
Or wait till one goes on vacation and slide into, she approved this.
Yeah, Tony said it was okay.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Not to get too much into a job. Yeah, I'm not an accountant, but they're trying to make me one, and I'm fighting it because I'm hard-headed.
Yeah.
But, I'm too old for this. I actually told my boss a couple of weeks ago that I said, the Navy, this is who I am. If the Navy couldn't change who I am, why do you think you can?
Because they got skills, John.
I'm 55. You ain't changing who I am.
I don't know if you just heard that. I'm standing here and all of a sudden I heard like gravel and there's 4 kids that just came sprinting through the parking lot, leapt the fence, and they're now scaling a hill. Did I tell you about the ninja that attacked me the other day?
You got attacked by a ninja?
All right. So I twice in my life, and not twice in my life, I should say this way. Okay. The more important story here. I was out when I got back from Canada, I was out for a run, and on the trip up, I had done that rail trail and I ran south on it on the crushed grapple. So then whenever I went for a run when we were on the return trip, I jumped on the rail trail and I went north, and it only hooks about a half mile north, and then it starts heading south again, just in an opposite direction, because it's on the upper part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. So it's just, it's curved up there. Anyways, I went out, I turned around, I was coming back, and I was kind of running, I guess there must have been some housing, but I couldn't see it because it was right on the other side. So I was crossing the street, and out of nowhere, this ninja jumps out of the woods and like sprints towards me, and then ducks off and turns and runs this opposite direction. And you think I'm making that up, though. But when I say it this way, and this isn't meant to say racially motivated, but it was this black chick, but like the really dark skin, like Nigerian black chick.
Yeah.
And she had on a uniform, and when she got closer, I could see it. Black hat, black polo, black backpack, black shorts, black shoes, black socks. This isn't at night. This is morning, obviously, because I'm out running. So she obviously must have been late for work, jumped out of where this residential area is, ran up close to me, but then was going to take the trail, but actually shortcut and jumped into these weeds and then took off running in these weeds to catch this, running. It's just that's not what you expect at 5:45 in the morning or 6 in the morning is somebody like, when I say blacked out, like completely, and that's why I say like it almost looked like there was a ninja wearing like the one piece of the suit, because
Maybe
the clothing the clothing matched the skin tone, and this chick was just booking it. I obviously was late for work and had to get there.
Maybe it was Batgirl, man.
It could have been. I don't know. I didn't see a signal in the sky, but. Oh, that was okay. I say the same. I said it twice in my life. Once I was out on we were just driving, and there's a rail trail. It's always rail trails with me, I guess. Mm-hmm. But there was one that parallels this road in Pennsylvania, and there was a dude out power walking, and same thing, like all black head to toe, but he had these like neon yellow walking sticks. So all you saw was those walking sticks just swinging back and forth 1,000,000 miles an hour. So. Just these things that stand out in your mind that you remember for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Anyways,
like the license plate of the car that hits you, and the last thing you see, right? So
I guess, yeah. So, anyways, sorry, these kids. I forget what we were just talking about. These kids kind of rattle me now. I know it's getting noisy on my end here.
It's not that bad. I can hear them, but it's not that bad. I kind of like it actually. It kind of gives you ambiance.
There we go. But we were going to talk about you having the case of the Eff Its and get you over that, and then we're moving on to John's ultra adventures and what all those crazy numbers we talked about on the top of the show. So whatever order you want to hit those.
Well, let's talk about the numbers, because we can get off the John's mental state. We don't have to talk about that.
John likes data. This will cheer him up.
Yeah. Let's talk data, because we started talking about we started talking about it, and we kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, but I have been getting questions on it again, mostly from people that are new to my coaching. Yep. So, and I use the data. So I wanted to, maybe we've done this before, so I wanted to kind of go through it again and kind of explain what we talk about when we're talking about TSS and ATL and CTL and things like that, and what those means. We won't really go in depth with it, but just kind of an overview. It sound good to you?
Sounds great. Let's roll.
So everything we talk about is based on. Now, see, they got loud now. Yeah,
they got out the marshmallows for the s'mores.
Yeah. Okay. So TSS is what we first thing we look at, and that's the training stress score. And what that basically is how you measure your hard work. So, and I know there's plenty, and I'm not putting anything about the feel of it, and people I know how hard I work because I know how I feel. This is basically putting numbers on how you feel, right? Yeah. So TSS is the measure of hard work. It's based on the intensity factor of the workout and how long you worked out. So, and the basic is a basic number based on 100. So if you work out at a 10, your rate of perceived effort is like 100%. You're given 100% for an hour. It's your score is going to be 100. Are you still there?
Yeah, what I figured is I opened my Skype. I'm sorry, John. I should have told you. I hit the mute button.
Okay.
So while you're talking, I'm going to try to mute the
Okay.
so the ambiance isn't as bad.
It sounded like you went away there.
And Rob's gone.
And Rob's gone. I'm just talking to myself. So basically, it's based on 100. So as hard as you can go for an hour, that is going to be 100. So you should never really hit 100. If you're hitting 100, you probably have your settings wrong in TrainingPeaks, and that's when you'll hear me say, okay, we need to look at your heart rate again, because you're hitting 100, and I know your intensity factor is only like a 70. So it's just not right.
Well, John, you just used two things that I know what it means, but I think it might confuse folk.
So go ahead.
I'm going to step in with the athlete perspective, because John gave all the information there, but I want to dumb it down.
Go ahead.
Once again, John, so the intensity factor goes up to 1 being 100%.
Right.
And John's saying that if you work out as hard as you can for an hour, you should be at 100. So if I was to go for a run, I would get a RTSS, meaning run training stress score. And if I ran for an hour and if I have a 90 RTSS, that means I was at about 90%. That means I was at an intensity factor of 9, and that means all the numbers are working correctly.
Right.
But if I run for an hour and I have a 113, that means that my data, my initial variables are wrong, because I should not be able, I can't go harder than 100. I can't go harder than 100%. This isn't the old, come on, let's win one for the team, give 110%. No,
right.
100 should be your max. That said, is if I go for a 2-hour run, and I have a a 90, what that means is I basically did 45%, 2 hours, 2 45s, or however it would work out.
Right.
So that being said, is if I could go for a 2-hour run and have a 160 with an intensity factor of 0.8, because I went 80% for 2 hours. So you can have that RTSS, or if it's a bike, it'd be a B, or an S, it's a swim. You can have it higher if you go longer than that hour, but if you're under that hour, you can't be over that.
Right. And I want to make clear that, and it should increase as you go along, but I think it's important to remember that TSS doesn't guarantee increases in fitness, because different workouts can mean the same thing. So how do I explain that? Like the TSS, say you go 2 easy hours at 70%, right? Then another hour workout or another hour work you did it at 99%, and 46 minutes at 150%. They're all going to be about the same thing, but it's going to have a totally different reaction on your body.
Right.
Right. So that's how you can see, like if you look at a cyclist that might be doing a build workout versus your maintenance workout, and you're both like increasing fitness at the same level, because it's a different type of workout. It's different, but you're still going to increase fitness. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. Yes.
Okay. Hopefully it makes sense to everybody, but
if not, right, John?
Yeah, right, man. I'll be glad to explain it. I've written whole training plans based totally on TSS scores. We have a TSS. We'll have a TSS target for the week. So if I want to get you to a 700 by the end of the week, then all of the workouts that I've got you scheduled, I'm basing it on TSS. So I want you to get to a 90 on this run. I want you to get to a 50 on this bike or this swim. Swims are hard to get to a TSS level, but you know what I mean? And then by the end of the week, we should be around 700 total TSS. Now,
the athlete perspective on that, and I'll just call a few folk out in the group, just for fun. Pete, if you're trying to get faster in a 5K, and Karen, if you're trying to go longer for an ultra,
right.
I'm not even going to say 700. Let's just say a 350 for each of you. A 350 for Karen is going to be built with a lot of longer, slower distance for what she's doing. And it's just like Legos. You might have a little 2-block Lego, you might have a 4-block Lego. Karen's going to be doing a lot of 4-block Legos because she's trying to build longer runs into it at an easier pace that she can sustain. But Pete, you might need three, not saying you would do 3 speed in a week. You might do one or one speed, one strength or something, but you're going to have a much shorter, higher intensity to get the same building blocks, the same numbers, so to say, that somebody else might.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, that's perfect. Right, because 350, we can get Karen to a 350 probably in one run, 5-hour run.
Right.
But Pete, to get to a 350, it might be 3 or 4 shorter distance, quicker races or quicker workouts, and it's going to come out the same thing, but it's just 2 different goals.
Right.
So let's move on. So the second thing is the acute training load, the ATL, not the Atlanta. The acute training load is also known as the measure of your fatigue, and that is based on your frequency, duration, and your intensity over the last 7 days. So think of it like if you're a medical kind of person. If you have something acute, that means something that's happening now. So what it is a number that's based off the last 7 days of your training. It's going to look over the last 7 days. So it's a rolling number. All of these are rolling numbers when you look at training. TrainingPeaks does this for you, so you don't have to figure this stuff out. But it's going to look at your workouts, how long you went, what your duration, what your intensity was, and how many times you did it, your consistency, and it's going to give you a score. So this matters because this tells you how you are right now. So it's going to tell you that, how much recovery you may or may not need, like in the future.
Right.
Okay. So, and then to go along with the ATL, and I know I'm going fast, and like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But the opposite of the ATL is the CTL, which is a chronic training load. And this is the same thing, but it's over the last 42 days.
Yep.
Now, why is it 42 days? Do you know?
I actually don't know that. The book most likely said it, but I don't pay attention to that type of stuff.
42 days. I'm going to read it because I wrote it down because I want to make sure I got it right. I understand it in my head, but I want to always make sure that I read it right. The body absorbs training adaptations on about a 6-week delay. So it takes about 6 weeks for anything that you're doing to stick. 6 weeks is 42 days. So that's why it's 42 days. Math. That's why it's 42 days. But that's good to know. So it's taken the same thing over the last 40 days, and then it compares it to what you are right now. And the difference between the two is what we call the TSB, or the training stress balance, and that's the measure. It's also called form. I don't know why they call it 2 different things. It's confusing.
That's where you could have been like, hey Rob, do you know what this is? And I could have answered that one.
You could have answered that one. Well, I had that one keyed up because I wanted to see if you knew what it was. I just wanted to see if you knew it.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting to me. But so the difference between the two is every day now. TrainingPeaks gives you it every day. The first thing you see, I don't know if you've noticed that, it gives you what your TSB score is every day.
Yes.
So this is what we were talking about at the beginning when I said Rob is like, he was like, he went into this race right here at a minus or like a 12. So this is the difference. So anything between minus 10 to plus 10 is considered good. But that can be different for everybody. So some people race better if they're in the negative side, which means you're a little fatigued. Some people race better if they're at a 0 or above. You went into the Pittsburgh Marathon at a 2.
And we see how well that worked out.
And you worked out really well, right? So you are usually, we're pretty good with your training, that you come in pretty close to 0 every time when you're really on training. So we're pretty good with that stuff. But some people need to be, I think I race better like at a plus 15, plus 20. I have to be really refreshed. If I go in like any fatigue at all, I suck.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you know that. And like
yeah.
you had said, is everyone's going to be different.
Right.
And that could be different per person, per race. What treats me better in a triathlon might be different in a running race, might be different in an ultra. We'll see.
The overall picture is that you should go into a race on the plus side, on the positive side. You don't want to go in the negative because you're still carrying some fatigue with you if everything's entered in right. But so basically in layman's term, that means, you don't go into a race. You don't, there's a reason why that tapers the last 2 weeks. because that's like getting your body back and getting back into the zero and back into the positive side where you've probably been working well into the negatives up until that point if you're training really hard. You could be,
Right.
I know I've been like minus 50 before. So I know how it is. When I was doing Tahoe, I was minus 50, minus 60 a lot.
Yeah. I can't remember, like I said, when I did that Century ride would have probably been the hardest that I would have seen. I've had harder training cycles prior to that, but I wasn't using TrainingPeaks, so we wouldn't have that data.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and we'd have to do all the math, but we'd have to pull a lot of data for that. So, I mean, basically, peak fitness is what we're always after, right? So you want to go into a race, especially your A race, at your optimal level at 0 or slightly above 0. You don't want to be you don't want to be in the 30s unless you're me. You don't want to be in the 30s because that probably means you're not trained enough, and you don't want to be minus 30 because then you're going to have dead legs, and
right.
So, and I know a lot of, not everybody's a numbers person, but I do think these, I think they go hand in hand with your feelings. Like I used to talk to Megan about that, is that I've known when I'm tired, and it's good to see sometimes numbers that like show, okay, it's not just me being, in my head, I am tired. Here's the numbers that show it. So one might beget the other, but I do think there's a place for it. Not all coaches coach to this level, coach to that, but I do, but you have to be careful because you have people that come on new, and you don't want to throw a bunch of numbers at them all at once, unless you're Rob and he understands it.
Well, yeah. You fake it till you make it, John.
Right. But you know what? It's amazing what you pick up along the way, just like doing it,
Right.
This stuff used to confuse the hell out of me until I got into it for a few years, and it's like, oh, now it makes sense to me. But you kind of have the ding goes off. So online, now to switch gears a little bit, online, you guys have been talking about doing a teamE4E event on November 4th. Is this true?
There's rumor. I mean, John, when you say there's been talk and rumor and whatever, that is sarcastic / throwing down the gauntlet / people saying things, and it all circles back in the same area. So if you'd like, I can lead my explanation of it, and then we can see what actually shakes out from that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say out anyone, but everyone at this point has, I think, voiced their own way to say it, and I will leave one name out of it. And when I say that is, when I first started looking or thinking of maybe an ultra, and I started sniffing around, looking online, I was talking with someone, male or female, and then when I saw this one, he or she had said, well, hey, if you do that, I might even consider coming down to do it as well. Now, that was not I'll pace you, I'll do this, I'll do whatever, okay? Mm-hmm. That being said is, after you and I alluding and hinting and talking, but not outright saying what the race is that we're looking at, I'm still not signed up. I'm like 90% sure that I'm probably going to give this a go. It does fit into the training plan. My wife seems to be okay with the idea of it and going down, and it seems like it's all green lights at this point. It's just me backing out if I choose. That's
It's a pretty. As far as race fees goes, it's not expensive. It's $45. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, is once we started kind of talking about this, Karen Clark, she had even then said, Rob, let me know if you do it. And she said, I'll come down. I'll pace with you. And then several others people had chimed in and said, similar things about wanting to do it. And, and you, and I would say you may have the thread in front of you or more intimately aware. I think Megan, I don't know if Megan Collins said she'd be interested, or Megan Nana Sinkum. I saw some comments there as well.
Well, Nana Sinkum, I don't think Nana Sinkum was interested in doing it. She was just like putting in some opinions. Okay. But
I was
Collins,
just scrolling through. I was scrolling through my phone, so that's why I was on my phone today, and that's when I had seen that, and we were back and forth with it. So I'm pretty certain Karen Clark would come down. there was one other person, male or female. I'm not going to put their name out there if they don't want it to be, that they may be coming down for it. And then if you said Megan Collins might be in for it, or
Megan Fanning said she seemed interested in it. I don't know what. I think she's just trying to get me to do it, but
can we get you to do it?
It's this, Rob. Okay. And I joke about saying it's like join me, and then I joke about I'm going to be the one coming in at 10 hours, and everybody's going to be way ahead of me. It comes down to me as like, one, can I get ready by November 4th, which I think I could. There's a lot of climbing in this one, and the cutoffs worry me because I looked at it. I don't know. It's like, can I do that in that cutoff? It's a long way to travel for me to, you know what I mean? I don't want another replay of Infinitus so soon, because I don't know. Does it sell out? I don't really know a lot about this race. It seems like a fun race, though.
I don't know anything about the race other than the name of it, Fire on the Mountain, November 4th, and in the hills down there, West Virginia, correct?
Maryland side, I think.
Maryland.
Right? I think it's Maryland.
One of the
side.
two. They border so close, and where that's a zigzaggy line. I actually have to go look at the website to be correct on it, but Anyway, I that's what I'm looking at, and we had said it's over 5,000, under 6,000 feet of climbing. Yeah. It's an aggressive course, and the people on the website, like I think we did read it, they even said it's like 31 or 34 miles ish based on a GPS, and they even think it's harder coming back than it is going out. Yeah, and it's a lot of it, but that's why, like I said, it comes down to, and this Karen. Blast me for this, please, and Megan, when you hear this too. I've never done one, so when I say I don't know what to expect, if I'm doing it, I want to go into it humbled, but when I'm using the air quotes of it's only an 18-minute mile average, I don't know how long nor steep some of these hills are to hike up, and that for me, it's easier for me to simulate this because I can go out, put my little guy in my back, in a backpack, and I can go hike hills. I can find hills to simulate this course and see what is my uphill, I'm going to use air quotes, hiking. I know I'm not going to run up these super steep inclines. It's going to be a power walk or a hike. And also it's going to be, just like my biking, slow up, fast down. But really, you can't run fast. I don't think you can run fast down technical trails, because you risk falling, and also you'll destroy your quads. Like everyone says, a downhill race hurts their legs more than anything. Yeah. So it's not like I can make up. Like if I can go uphill at 20, I can't come downhill at 10. I still am going to have to. So really, that comes down to run the flats, power walk up, and come down as fast as possible. I don't know. This is where when I say. It is so foreign, and it's such a different idea or race strategy that, I don't know. I've never tried it. I almost have to go out and pick a good hard 5 or 10 mile hilly trail, because even a hilly road course doesn't simulate. I need to go try it and see what's gonna shake out from it on a training run to even just get an idea. Is this even possible? And that's why I don't want to. I would love for you to be there, and I don't want to say, come on, John, it's generous, because if they're giving you that much of when I say, once again, air quotes around it, if they're giving you an 18-minute, it's not like an 18-minute flat. It's not an 18-minute flat walking course. It's right. If they're giving it to you, it's not that they're being generous. They're basically saying, like, hey,
you're going to work for that 18 minutes. Yeah.
This is the real deal. So, yeah.
And it reminds me, when I'm reading it, it kind of reminded me of Infinitus. It's like, okay, they're giving you, I figured out the pacing and stuff like that. It was like maybe a 17, 18 minute I needed to do. And we know what happened. But and I'm not making excuses or anything, but I don't have hills here to train on. There's ways to do it. But it's not like I noticed that, and I did it here. I did, Megan's plan, and I felt I was, halfway ready, even though I had the injury.
Yeah.
But it was nothing like climbing up that actual mountain. That was totally what I had never seen anything like that before. Now,
have you, I don't know if you've listened to How's Your Run Today, their podcast. A year or two ago, they interviewed a gentleman, and he did this thing that he calls the animal walk. And I forget what it is, the speed now. Maybe it's like 0.4, like 4 miles per hour or whatever it is on the treadmill. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't maybe seem that aggressive. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem like it's an aggressive walking pace. But basically, he puts the treadmill, when I say as high as it goes, literally as high as you can put the treadmill, and there's a certain speed you set it at. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. You think you can do it? Try it. And right. It's like, that would be just about the only thing that you could do,
which is what I was doing.
Yeah, it's literally then. But how you don't want to go. I'm going to use air quotes, walk on the treadmill. You don't want to go walk on the treadmill for 3 hours. That's going to suck.
Well, I mean, but I did it when I was training for Infinitus. I did do that a few times, and it did suck. And but it's really the only way down here to do it. And there's really no climbs that equal what those are. Yeah, and
even walking up and down parking garages won't get you as steep as you need.
And that's an idea, but that's one of those ideas. You get to a parking garage and you just go up the damn parking garage. That's really, go park at the airport and just run the airport parking garage. But
so at that point, you could get the incline, you could get the decline, but it's still, once again,
you're not sinking
smooth surface and stable footing.
Yeah, you're not slipping 5 inches into the mud and having to pull your foot out without your shoe, and it's just different. It's just, and I loved it. It was very disheartening. I was how I was after that, and and it's like, am I ready to give something like that a go and not be able to do it again? I don't know if I'm ready mentally for that yet. But then again, I would love to go out there and if you're doing it, I would love to go out there and just be there.
That's possible.
So that's an idea as well. So, so maybe I'll just pack up the car and we'll head up there, one way or the other. And maybe by that time, I'll be November, I'll be August, November, I'll be 4 months into the training for the marathon. So, maybe I would be able to do it. So there's a lot of ifs right now. I don't want to commit to anything though.
Yeah.
There's other things to think about when I do a trip, and it's not as far of a trip for you as it is for me, right?
Right. No,
it's a 16-hour drive.
2.5 hours for me to drop down for that one. So.
Yeah, it's like I looked at it today. It's a little over 1,000 miles, so about a 16-hour drive.
Yeah.
So there's some planning needs to go into that.
Oh yeah.
But it's not off the table, if you know what I mean. I would like to come up. Especially if everybody's doing it. I would love to be up there.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Maybe we can get some more commitments out of this. Brandon Miller calling you out,
like
trail runner.
Come on, you got all the people up there that do this kind of stuff. It's close to you guys. Maybe I need to come just to shame him into it. If this guy can come from Florida, you can come from Pennsylvania.
If he can come just to give us a high five,
exactly right. Just to take pictures, come on. But everybody's got to wear a teamE4E shirt, though. That's the thing.
Might need to get a special commemorative one made just for everyone there.
Yeah, that's what we do. If we do that and we get people committed, we could do that. We can get those made up. So there's a reason to do it right there. There's your carrot. You get a special.
My carrot.
Everybody's carrot.
If I don't, do I get the stick?
Yeah, you get the stick, and you'll know you get it too. All right, so I think you went on mute again, didn't you?
I did. A car was driving by,
okay.
So I'm like, oh no, worst timing ever.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So that's it for this week. You got anything else?
I don't. So.
All right, man. So everybody, show your support by going to the fatslowtriathleteshow.podbean.com site, which is the site of the Endurance for Everyone podcast, and you can become a patron for as little as $1 or as much as you want per month. $1 a month is not a lot to offer to help us out a little bit with the cost, to defray some of the costs. Look us up on social media using teamE4E on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, it's on everything. So, and join us on the Facebook group, and give us a shout, and let us know what you want to hear us talk about, and we'll do our best to help you out. So you good, Rob?
I'm good to go.
All right.
So we'll check in next week. You guys want to, connect with us. John gave you all the places there. Seriously, for this race coming up, it's a ways off, but to be properly trained, now's the time to start. So if you've done ultras, come on down. If you're thinking you might want to try one, talk to John, and he'll give you a super great deal on a training plan to get you there.
Yeah, we'll hook you up. All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, talk to you.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E at enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.